Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Dark Season 2, Episode 1 is called Beginnings and Endings. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. Dark is back, Netflix's original German show. If you haven't seen Season 1, go well, watch Season 1. Also watch our reviews of Season 1, because we had a good time piecing it together about 16, 17 months ago when Season 1 came out.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I actually was able, just able to squeeze in a rewatch of Season 1 before watching this episode. It was tight.
Did not.
Yes, it was tight. And I'm glad I did, because there was a lot of little things, especially towards the end of the season, that I did not remember until I got to them.
I believe you, because I spent maybe half of this episode just trying to retrain my mind to remember the connections between everyone, because there's so many.
For example, Alexander, who runs the nuclear plant in present day, which is now 2020. Because see when I started Season 1 again, like a week ago, I went, oh, 2019. Yeah, I remember talking about it being 2 years in the future when it first came out. I was like, that's not the future anymore. Well, not really. I mean, it was like November, so it's a little bit in the future, but we're there.
Yeah.
But it has moved forward to 2020.
It's jumped 6 months.
Six months. And which is probably a good idea, because all the kids have obviously aged. I thought Elizabeth, Francisca's little sister, the deaf girl, I thought she especially looked a lot older, just because she's at that age where 1 year makes a huge difference.
Yeah. There's not a lot you can do about it, is there?
Yeah, so I think actually having time progress a little bit, along with not it's not exactly the same gap, but a little bit
just
helps
enough
with
that
it.
it's going, okay, yeah, they grew up a little bit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Some different characters, but yeah, Alexander runs a nuclear power plant, which is shutting down, being decommissioned in 6. And you know what? I will be cracking a lot of Chernobyl jokes, because
I don't want to hear a damn thing about any graphite.
Joe is so funny though. Is I'd forgotten how central a nuclear power plant was. And not even just that, the fact that in the 80 section they kept referencing Chernobyl, because there's a scene in Season 1 where Jonas first goes back to 1986. And his mother, young Hannah, and her dad in the van pull up, and it's raining. And she's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be out in the rain." They say it's safe now, but I still think it's dangerous. And I'm like, I just watched Chernobyl. I know exactly why it's dangerous. Yes, I love it.
Oh, no, don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about any damn graphite.
There
is no graphite.
We'll be talking about graphite. We'll be talking about comrades. We'll be talking about 3.6 a lot. Great. Break out a dozen meters, because it's time, baby. It's time for some graphite. Oh, so ready for this.
God damn it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I completely forgotten that he actually, as a teenager, had taken this alias, and that's not his original name. And at the end of the season, Hannah was blackmailing him to ruin Ulrich's reputation, which was null and void, because at that point we didn't realize it yet, but he was missing. He was in the 50s at that point.
Yeah.
So which is one of the interesting things, cutting to this time later here in present day in this episode, is that officially he is missing now, along with Jonas. They're all that's now 6 people went missing 6-8 months ago, and we're dealing with it. Let's set a new cop to oversee the thing, and then of course we find out from the future, which is, I don't think they ever actually say the year in the episode, but I think we're presuming 33 years in the future, right?
Yeah, so it'd be 42.
Yes. Oh, no.
From 2019.
No, about a year later. I'm assuming Jonas has also been there a year. It feels like he has.
Maybe.
And the reason why I say that is because I'm expecting the 80s to have moved a year, the 50s to have moved a year, and the opening scene, because at first in the opening scene I was like, wait, 1921, that's only 32 years. Or, no, hold on, from 53, 21 years. No, 31 years. Math. not much drugs, okay? But I was questioning, wait, that's not 33 years from 1953. And then, obviously...
See, I didn't recall the exact year of the 50s. I mean, I could have worked it out from 2019 if I'd really wanted to, but...
Sure. But I think what really became clear, though, is that the different methods for traveling, and that being Noah's method and the method that Jonas actually went to the future, I don't think necessarily have to obey the 33 rule, because they didn't go through the bridge to do those trips. I don't think. Well, Noah might be going through the bridge still. I don't know, but he was certainly trying to create a new way of doing it that could just go where he wants. That was kind of his goal.
We don't know if he succeeded or not, because this is the thing. We've only seen the 33 jump periods, so
yeah. But I mean, if it's not. Here's the thing, though. We only had like the two directions in the bridge, so how is he getting to another 33 years back if we are doing another 33-year gap? Which I don't think it is.
Here's the thing: if you go, I think I speculated about this last season, but if you go in the bridge and you turn left to go back,
you're always going back 33 years from that point.
Yeah. So if you go back into it again and then turn left again,
well, then explain how you can get to the 50s from present day. That's two jumps back. Because that was the left and right. It was right was the 80s. Left was the 50s.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There you go. Nip that right there in the bud before the comments come swiping
in. Okay.
The ginger cogs are going. I can see the gears going in the brain.
No, I'm just trying. I'm trying to work it out. Like I said, but it's been a long time since season 1. I've forgotten some of the intricacies. Perhaps.
Basically, what I'm saying is that we don't know as viewers, I don't think, how he can feasibly get to the 20s. Like, we don't know how he can do that yet. We know he's there. We know because we see Noah, present day Noah. If you want to call him that, but the adult Noah that we've been seeing a lot since season 1. We see him in 1921 with this new big bad referred to as Adam. I got really excited at the start of the episode because it came up saying 1921 and I went, oh, this is further back than we've been, and that got me excited. And then it's like, no wait, they're building the tunnel. Like they're actually chiseling away.
Excavating it.
Because I think one of the things we said last season probably a couple of times was speculating but who actually built these doors? Who actually put this in place? Like did someone create it, specifically? And it seems like no, they did.
Yeah, but we know this show is full of loops, so why they created it is still a question.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the reason why they created it is because they know they had to create it because someone came from the future to tell them that they have to create it.
Quite likely, because they talk about prophecies.
They talk about prophecies. We interested us because we discovered one of these two characters is called Noah, and they mentioned that Adam named you. Notably, that Adam is also a biblical name. Adam and Noah. I don't think that's lost on anyone. The correlations of those names. It's okay, so we're setting up a bigger bad than Noah potentially, and we get this kind of brutal kill scene where Noah's like, "Oh, you've lost your faith in what we're doing," and just stabs him with a pickaxe in the shoulder.
So this is a younger version of our Noah, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just double checking because you said a second ago another Noah, like it was another character.
Oh no! This is. Well, at least I presume the scene. I think that's the point of the scene. Is that
no, I do as well because the music sting comes in when it says his name.
This is Noah. And so we meet this Adam who's very disfigured, and I honestly I'm assuming that this is not necessarily Adam's son. He didn't name him at birth. I'm assuming that he gave him the name Noah after he recruited him to be part of his cause. And I suspect that Adam is also not this character's original name, which makes me think that Adam is also someone from the future that we don't know. And the line that really made me think that is when they're talking about Bartos. He actually says, "Oh, that sounds that was always like Bartos." He says that, and admittedly, we've got time travel. He doesn't necessarily have to be from the future, but I feel he knows him well enough that I think it's actually someone from the future who is familiar with Bartos.
I agree. Obviously, the choice of name with Adam is very obvious, right? Adam was the first man, right? So he's chosen. So he is the first of his followers. The first of his people. Kind of, he's setting himself at the top.
Yeah, in his mind. I don't know if the show is setting up that he's the first time traveler necessarily.
No, not necessarily, but he believes himself to be the most important, at least. And then Noah was he again. Adam's given Noah this name. The savior, right? It feels very intentional.
Yeah, well, I mean, we find out there's an apocalypse. I mean, we kind of obviously get this hint at the end of last season. The cliffhanger was, Jonas goes to the future via a new method of time travel. It's when the older Jonas turned on his machine to destroy the bridge, and it created. And I'd forgotten the visual effect. It was quite beautiful at the end of season 1. There's this big sort of electrical dome thing appears over the town.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? I remember now.
And then, but it kind of also appeared in the room in the in the 80s version of the room where they were kidnapping the kids. And he gets blasted to the future, and we also found out that Claudia, which is Regina's mother, there's a lot of characters. That's why I'm glad I watched it again because I know who all these characters are. Just keep up. But we find out that Claudia, who discovered her dog from the 50s, which kind of proved to her that something time travel was going on, that was kind of her seed that led her to a path. We sort of saw towards the end of the season that she'd become this kind of militant leader who was maybe in an opposing force to Adam and Noah or some such. It's hard to say for sure. But she's definitely in the future, and she was telling Bartos things. She does. I expect we'll see her in the future again. I was actually waiting all episode in the future for one of the younger kids from present day to like show up as an adult, and it was actually the exact character I thought it would be, because it's the one that you could tell as soon as they start speaking, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
As soon as the sign language started, I went, "Oh, of course this is the one you start with, because it's obvious who this is."
Yeah, it makes it really clear immediately.
Yeah, that's because I was thinking the brunette as well might end up being someone, but as of
right now, we don't know anything.
Yeah. So the idea that Noah is essentially going to, I don't know if it's going to be a literal arc per se, but the idea that this apocalypse is coming, we find out that it happened in 2020. It's actually 6 days from when we start this season.
June 27th. So we have a date for season 3. Because that's what they did with this season with June 21st. Because that was the day that he went to the future.
You're right. Is that a Friday? That's the important part.
I mean, the Netflix have shown themselves to be willing to bend the rules a little bit depending on dates.
2020. I mean, they're shooting in a few weeks' time, so they should be ready.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's plausible.
Did you say 27th?
27th, which is actually a Monday.
The Saturday.
I think. Was it Saturday? Oh, okay, I think I went too far.
You're in the wrong year.
No, I think I clicked on July. I was just scrolling through.
Yeah. Interesting. Give us a ticking clock.
I would suspect that's when they're targeting. I could be wrong. There could be another date that comes up at the end of this season. That's
true. Yeah. Like maybe they move Judgment Day.
Maybe. Judgment Day. But as of right now, that's the one I'm going with.
That's fine. I'm not going to bet you on it because I feel like it's a reasonable logic.
As soon as I saw that date, it was quite early on in the episode. You see it in the book. I was like, "That's it. That's season 3."
Yeah. How much more special would it be though if this was still 2019 and it was 2020, or it's still going to be 2020? No, you know what? This works out. Well, I'm saying this one's less special because it's not 2020. It's still 2019 to us, even though it's the 21st of June.
Yeah, but it was it not the 21st June 2019 when he left?
No, because it's the 21st in this episode, because it's 6 days from when the apocalypse happens.
No, you could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, 21st is this because it was like November time, I think. It was.
If you say so. It
was before Christmas, the first season. But yeah, so we have this apocalypse, this ticking time clock. Some other mysteries that never quite got answered, actually, and they were kind of teasing it in this episode already. Was oh god, the one character's name I keep forgetting is bugging me. Elizabeth's older sister, who's dating Magnus. Hold on. Doppler, Francesca. There you go. She had this secret stash of money in season 1, and it never really came up again. The only thing that ever really happened in season 1 is that Magnus at one point says, "Hey, I really want to know more about you," and she's like, "Not today." Turns out not for another 6 months either, because he ends up kind of following her in this episode, and she buries something. We don't get to see what it is. There's an envelope. There could be money in it. There could be a note in it. There could be a number of things in it. She buries it in this old train track, and eventually it's actually the prostitute who turns out to be the sibling of the one-eyed cop. Well, I say one-eyed, eye patch cop. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily an eye missing, but
we might find out one day.
We might find out because it does that thing where it teases like, "Oh, was he here for her services?" And it's like, no, he's here to buy the big truck that she owns for some reason. But it's because he's like, "Oh, make sure you call Mom," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a little swerve."
More connections. It's just what we needed.
Yeah, just what we needed. Yeah. But so that's interesting. And Magnus kind of follows her and like kind of waits for whoever it is going to pick this up, because we kind of learn it with him. This is who's picking up the package or whatever it is. But she also puts something else back inside the box. So there's something going on here, and I don't know what it is. It's kind of hard to predict because it doesn't seem just like, I don't know, she's involved in prostitution or she's involved in. So it doesn't feel like that. It feels more murky than that.
No, I agree. It's more interesting than that ultimately. Because that would be a boring answer.
It would be, yeah. Magnus, by the way, got long hair this season.
Yeah,
that stuck out. So I bet Connor's glad that I know most of these names and he's not having to guess any of them.
Give me a couple episodes, I'll be back up to scratch.
Yeah. Speaking of Dopplers, though, Charlotte, who's of course the chief of police, and her husband, who Peter Doppler, he revealed to her in the final episode essentially what he'd been doing all season, which was when Mads came from the past and his body appeared, he was kind of there, and Claudia had kind of recruited him and Tonti, which is Ulrich's father, to kind of observe things so that they would do stuff for her, for what's coming up. And what's strange about it is that in the final episode, Charlotte also finds the photo from the 50s of Ulrich, so she has like her seed to think, oh wait, time, what's going on? Like time travel's happening. Yeah. So, and I'm explaining all this because when he's like, hey, come over here, because Elizabeth actually sees a photo of Noah in an old book of her grandfather's, and we've never met this grandfather. This is Charlotte's grandfather, who
isn't Charlotte's grandfather the watchmaker who built the device?
I don't think so.
Sure. Okay. He was someone's grandfather, I'm sure.
Maybe it was. There was one scene where two girls came in. One of them wasn't Charlotte though. No, because it was the 50s is the one that gets really confusing because you're dealing with young versions of characters who are like really old in present day. But no, I don't think I've seen her grandfather yet. Because they're talking about because they mentioned that her grandparents died when she was really young in this episode.
Okay, yeah.
Which definitely rules him out.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like, okay, so why does he have all these books? Why does he have a photo that has like Adam and Noah in it? Because we know they don't know about Adam. We can see Adam in the middle of it though.
Yeah, I mean he's very clearly the leader of the group though in that picture.
Yeah, but he calls Charlotte, and they seem to be on a better page because they're maybe open to each other about what was going on during last season. They've actually using the bunker room, the hatch to do their own murder, but they've got their own version of all the photos up, all the strings, and
we do. We could do one of those.
We could do one of those. And Jonas is using the one that was already in the future that Claudia had. So they're all using these boards.
Might as well. Why start from scratch when there's one there for you?
Even Adam's got like a hidden door, and he's got like the four key families of the show. It's not as complicated, but clearly these four families are something that he's paying attention to, and he thinks are important.
He's very aware of the importance of them, clearly.
Yeah. So a lot of intrigue here. It was kind of fascinating, like catching up with all the characters were. I think them actually looking into the time travel stuff, and Charlotte actively kind of not bringing up with this like superior like officer who's been sent in to kind of like take over and essentially be a task force to find all the missing people.
I laughed really hard at the scene when he was announcing himself to the public.
He tries to use his elephant metaphor to explain why there's only just him and not a whole group.
Yeah. And it was just like, this is going down so badly. It was cracking me up.
Yeah, and that was Eric's dad too, I think, because again, one of the best of having just rewatched season 1 is even though he only appeared in like episode 1 and 2, I remembered him. I'm like, yes, all these people, all these actors back. There you go.
I mean, I think I got it from context of what he was saying, but you probably had an advantage.
So, yeah, Katharina, I should mention her. She's actually searching for both her son and Ulrich. She's like looking through his case files. She's actually going into the caves herself, suggesting that she may also find the door. And
she is actively searching for it. It seems very elusive, this door, doesn't it? Like,
it does. Well, I remember when
some people always just stumble onto it, and others search for it and can't find it.
Yeah, Jonas, like he get help from his older self, like with the map and also the counter, because it was like follow the radiation or whatever. So he had a lot of help getting in there. I suppose you could argue there's some fate attached to this, or maybe once you find it, you can always get back to it. But it's
I'm thinking, back to the first episode where the kid goes missing in there, and he just seems to stumble onto it really easily, doesn't he? Because it doesn't seem like he's in the caves that long before he's at this door.
What you saying? Fate's calling? Is that what you're saying?
I think there's something going on, yeah.
Fate's rating, making sure people who need to go into the door get to the door.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I could see something like that. Yeah, so she's looking very hard. She's very obsessed. Both Martha, and Magnus are kind of noticing that she's been very obsessed and not really being around a whole lot.
Yeah.
And they're kind of dealing with that. And she kind of breaks up with Bartos as well. It's kind of a quick scene there. Bartos is
That
still...
was probably my least favourite scene of the episode, to be honest.
Because it was teen breakup drama.
It was very typical.
I guess my only problem with this scene is that I'm like, why did it take this 6 months for this? Because they were already kind of in a bad place at the end of season 1.
They were, yeah.
But yeah, so he's still working with Noah. He's actually going into the cave with Noah at the end, so it's implying that he's also going to go traveling. So
maybe he's off to meet Adam.
Maybe he is off to meet Adam. Or maybe he's got other plans, because Adam's already met him.
Yeah, but he hasn't met Adam.
Yeah, but maybe a younger Adam. May not be this Adam.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, it might not be this very Adam.
Yeah.
So, who else am I forgetting? So many characters. Regina.
We should just mention before we move on from that, Martha has found all the files and stuff.
Yeah, the kids
and knows that one's gone into the caves and looking for this, and they're on to that now.
Yeah, kids are looking there. So Regina, we knew she had cancer last season. She is looking much worse. She's very sickly and refusing to go to a hospital. Meanwhile, her husband Alexander is kind of the plant shutting down in 6 days, which also happens to be the day that the apocalypse is happening, which makes one think that maybe the graphite rods or the tips on the rods might cause a problem.
Just a touch.
I'm making Chernobyl jokes, okay?
I know.
Yeah, so we'll see kind of exactly what happens there. The fact that there's a nuclear power plant so close to this bridge, certainly.
Yeah, and we speculated about this a lot.
Well, we did, but here's the interesting thing. Is there was a lot of talk. There was talk in season 1 of an incident in the plant in the 80s that in some way activated or whatever the bridge, right? But we also know the bridge was built previously, and you could travel through it from the 50s. But I guess the argument is that once it happened in the 80s, we're in this time loop now where 33 years both backwards and forwards are now in this loop.
Yeah, feels like that.
Yes.
Because we even had the device that was built that was meant to stop it, but kind of caused it to start. The big event at the end of the season that was built using things from all the time periods, right? Because we had the phone with the nuclear waste, and then just the main bulk of the device from the 50s, I think.
We had all that. But what's interesting though is that the bridge, at least as far as older Jonas is concerned, and we'll get to his scenes in a minute because they're really interesting scenes. He does say that he tried to destroy it, but all he did was close it.
Yeah, which sounds like a temporary measure, but...
Well, here's the thing though, we see Noah get in with Bartos, which makes me think that is there more than one way to travel in these caves to go through the bridge? Is it just that big metal door with the engraving on it? Like, is there something else down there?
Yeah.
That no one knows about and is using? Or
Jonas is just wrong.
Okay, if he's wrong then, but why does he think it's closed?
It's a fair question.
Because he's been traveling in and out of it for a while, seemingly.
Yeah, he has.
We saw him bouncing around a lot last season, so you would think he would try to go through it and see what happens. And
yeah, no, that's true.
But at least as far as he's concerned, he is stuck in 2020. And he shows up at his house where Hannah is. Hannah's like ready to commit suicide, basically.
She's got the gun to her head when she hears the door going.
Yeah, and that's Alexander's gun that she got in the forest. He shows up, and he just lets himself. He's got a key. He's got his old key.
She's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "What's my key?"
Yeah, and he starts explaining, just giving examples of like how to prove that it's him. He's like, remember, when I was this age and I got this cut in my arm. Here's this.
Yeah.
Remember when
and then
Dad
he talks
spilled
about the acid rain.
And he brings up that scene. Remember when you were a kid and you saw me in my yellow jacket? And I like the idea that Hannah never thought about that moment, but now that he's bringing it up, she's like, wait a minute, that did look like you.
Yeah.
Now that you're reminding me of that night happening. And what I like about it is that he's not only proven that it's him, he's also proven that he's already travelled in time. He's already proven that you've already seen the effects of me travelling in time. You just didn't know it at the time, which I actually quite like that.
It's smart, yeah.
Yeah, but it's an emotional scene, and I think Hannah's a character they have to redeem somewhat this season. She got particularly nasty at the end of season 1.
She did, didn't she?
She tried to tell Katharina that she's the one who split up with Ulrich, even though Ulrich had to be very adamant with her because she was being very clingy, very very creepy in a lot of places. Yeah, very unhealthy, showing up at the family's house and with casserole and pretending everything's okay and whatever. But I have to admit, this scene worked really well for me. It was a kind of delightful scene, the happiness of it, and then like later on coming back to it, and then her asking questions like, "Well, where are you? Where's like my age, Jonas?" Yeah. And he's like, "He's in the future."
And these scenes were probably my favorite of the episode.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think they had a lot of weight to them, and along with obviously the actual time travel intrigue elements as well.
Well, I think what's interesting about this season is that we're starting the season off in a place where a lot of characters are more aware that the time travel is a thing. A lot of season 1 was several people discovering that time travel it was possible, and people have been doing it, and the effects of it. At first it was Jonas, arguably Mikkel to a certain point, and then Ulrich, and then a couple of characters got some seeds right at the very end, like Charlotte. But like this season, it's like no, like more characters know, so it's going to be less of a secret that we're discovering, and more about the ripples.
What do we do with it? Yeah. The
ripples of what we've done, what the effect is, and he's like, no, younger Jonas is in the future and he can't come back, and he obviously knows that because he knows he doesn't have. He's obviously eventually going to get back somehow, but he knows how long it's going to take him. Does older Jonas?
He just remembers it.
Yeah, and we see younger Jonas in the future where he's still living in his old house. Does like weird cocoon-like things on the walls. I wasn't quite sure what those were.
No, I wasn't either.
Because they were on everywhere. It wasn't just like one room. Like they were all over the place. But we see that people are being hanged
for trying to go into what was the name of it?
It was beyond the wall or the dark zone or something like that.
Yeah, there was like a no-go zone.
Yeah,
essentially where no one's allowed in.
Yeah, presumably where Jonas himself goes at the end because he's sneaking around.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
But he's like collecting parts and trying to gear up essentially, and he's been here a little while. No one's kind of monitoring him. He's just expected to show up at places, and very interesting. This is when we get Elizabeth, who's kind of in charge. Actually,
she seems to be. Yeah, she seems to be giving a rally. Kind of, she's the one doing the hanging and kind of ordering it.
Yeah. But when Jonas gets into the plant though, and it's really great because it did a really good job of showing us around the plant with Alexander earlier on, because he's disposing of all those barrels of waste that they're supposed to not have.
Yeah.
Burning them in cement. Well, funnily enough, was exactly how they buried bodies from Chernobyl. That was how they had to put them in cement.
If it works, it works.
Well, I wasn't cracking a joke. That was just a genuine.
It wasn't a joke response. If it works, it works. I mean, in context here, clearly it works. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah. But what was really good about that is that we got like the whole like the walkway up to the door that opens into that big room. We'd already seen that. So seeing Jonas go through it again at the end, it was like, okay, this is what this. I already saw what this looked like when it was like functional and new, or not new, but like maintained.
What?
Yeah. And then we see him go in. He puts on the hazmat suit, and we have very similar to the effect we saw last season, except this time it's unstable. Like before, it was this perfect dome, but now it's like a constantly shifting just mess and massive energy.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I'm like, is that been here since 2020? Is that been here since that day?
It's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect maybe.
And at that point, then, has it been deteriorating over that time? Is that why it looks the way it is now?
Maybe given that the apocalypse happened, though, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was already in a pretty bad state the day the apocalypse happened, because I'm assuming that it had something to do with the apocalypse. That it's not just one nuclear power plant did something. Like maybe
Probably, because that's a bit boring for this show.
Well, it's a bit boring, but one nuclear power plant, can ruin a continent, but not quite the planet, not quite the apocalypse. Assuming it is the whole planet, but I mean...
Yeah, we haven't really seen the wider world. We're just assuming.
But they're calling it the apocalypse, which does suggest world-level event.
It would suggest it, yeah. As far as they're aware, definitely.
So, well, you say as far as they're... I feel like Adam and that are more in the know. I'm not talking about Jonas and that. I'm talking about...
Oh, okay.
Like, Adam's saying the apocalypse has to happen. I feel like he seems to know what he's talking about.
He probably does, yeah. You're right.
But no, I really liked... yeah, that was a good final scene. It was kind of like, okay, things are unstable. And older Jonas telling us that younger Jonas isn't going to get back to present day anytime soon is interesting, because it's like, okay, so we can't really hope for him getting back there. Which...
No, we know he's safe to some extent, as safe as he can be.
He's not going to be dead.
Right.
But they might try and hang him for getting into this place.
Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting part here, where we know the punishment for going in here is to be hanged.
Well, no, the reason why I say that is because if you look at him in season 1, he's got a big...
oh, does he?
A big mark in his neck. He's been hung. Or he's been hanged, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. But he obviously survives.
Yeah, obviously he gets cut down or whatever, but like he as soon as I saw them being hanged, I was like, oh, okay.
See, that's one of those little things I'd forgotten about.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we saw that this episode, right?
No, I think you could see when he was sitting at the table talking to his mother. I mean, you have to look for it.
Maybe if you're looking for it, yeah.
But
that makes sense.
It stuck out to me because as soon as I saw the hanging scene, I was like, yeah.
Okay, no, I'm with you.
This is where this is going. Like I'm fairly certain of it. So yeah, it was a lot of catching up this episode. Although I think it was a smart move not to incorporate any 80s or 50s stuff yet, because
ease back into it.
Yeah, we already have so much 20s stuff. We already have all this new future timeline to deal with, plus all the present day stuff. I think throwing us into 50s and 80s in the same episode would have been too packed, and this was a dense episode with a lot of characters doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
it was dense.
But I'm looking forward to seeing those time periods. Like, so, we're 6-8 months later, whatever it is. Ulrich been in prison for 6-8 months in the 50s? Is he still in prison in the 80s?
Who knows? It's not impossible.
Which means we'll get an old actor playing Ulrich, but it won't be in the future. It'll be in the 80s.
Just what we need. More people playing the same characters.
Where else? Yeah, I mean, Helga. We know young Helga had to be not rescued per se, but like after his whole time portal thing with Jonas, we know he got back out into the world because he was a grown man in the 80s, and no one suspected that. So like it was in the news that he'd been kidnapped and returned or whatever. So clearly he was either recruited as a kid by Noah at that point, or did they just let him go and he was recruited later as an adult or young adult maybe.
Yeah,
much like how Bartos is being kind of recruited now at the age of 17 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll get that much answers in that regard. They might feel like it's not super important because we know it happened at some point.
Yeah, and Helga's story for the most part is actually done. The older Helga tried to kill younger Helga and died, but in doing so at the end of the season. So, we've largely wrapped it up. At the same time, though, middle-aged Helga is still around in the 80s and young Helga is still around in the 50s. So I'm still expecting to see those versions of them.
They absolutely are, and I'm sure we'll see them around in relation to other characters, but I'm not sure we'll have a story focus with him. Because like you say, his story did kind of close.
Yeah, that makes sense. So other things to get into at some point in this season is there was the blossoming of a romance with Tronte's parents, Ulrich's grandmother, having an affair with Egon's wife.
Yes.
Egon being the policeman in the 80s who was a younger policeman in the 50s. The one who hates Ulrich. And then it kind of became clear why he hates Ulrich so much, because he's like, I don't know what it is, but it's something about your face. I really don't like it. And it's because he'd already arrested him thinking he was a child murderer in the 50s.
Yeah.
But obviously he's not realised that because he's a younger man. But like, so we got that to deal with. There was a lot of things set up at the end of last season, actually, that were very open. It wasn't like they had climactic moments. It was just like, here's a lot of things, a lot of threads that are still going to be hanging, which more than anything, even though it does feel like a separate season in the sense that we have had this time jump and it's definitely introducing new ideas and elements, and some characters are in very different places. The fact that they're so open about just leaving threads between seasons like this to pick up, because I don't think this did any easing into. I mean, it did ease into the formula again in the sense of not jumping to the 50s and 80s, but I don't think it necessarily eases into, oh, just in case you didn't remember several things from last season. No. They weren't pulling punches. There was immediately, you have to know the name Noah because this is a big dramatic moment at the start. You have to know that this character is related to that character for this scene here. You have to know this for this scene here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I think some of that maybe have been lost on me. Like, obviously, I think that all the bigger ones, I definitely remembered enough that all the beats landed. Or if I didn't, it was when the beat landed and the camera played it up or the music played it up, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. Why is that a thing? And I'd have to think about it, but it would jog my memory because of the event happening. So it was almost like a bit of a delayed reaction, admittedly, but it helped me get there.
Also, notably, older Jonas did not mention his father was Mikkel or Mikkel.
No, he didn't.
And I guess maybe he's just like, that may be a bit much to take in right now.
She doesn't really need to know, does she?
And it might mess with her head. Like, see that guy you've been in love with since you were a teenager? Yeah, your actual husband was his son.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons not to that. And we know that a lot of the characters die in this event, this apocalyptic event in 2020, which is why, like, I suspect that we will, in some capacity, avoid it or delay it, because I expect a lot of characters to come back next season. Now, admittedly, we are dealing with time travel, but given that we had a proper forward time jump in this episode for this season, I kind of expect that as well for season 3 to an extent.
I would too, potentially, but also that is something could be interesting to view it as no, they'll die. Can we undo it and still be seeing the past time periods and still getting a lot of the characters around, just missing kind of the 2019 2020 chunk of characters mostly.
Yeah, the one we know for sure is supposed to be dead from this incident is Martha, because he specifically looks at the headstone for her. Which by the way, he's having a lot of sexy dreams about his aunt.
He is, isn't he?
It's haunting his dreams.
Anyone who's upset that Game of Thrones is over, I've got you covered.
No, I mean, it is an interesting pickle for him to be in, because it's like he grew attracted to her long before he knew, like, that they were related. Yeah. That he was blindsided with this. This was like trash TV has us believe this happens all the time. I don't know how often it does happen, but I'm sure in the world somewhere it's happened where two people fall in love and then realize, oh shit, we're actually like distant cousins. Shit.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a whole theory on this, how people who are related but don't necessarily know they are, there's some sort of like like a DNA chemistry thing where they actually kind of on some level recognize that they're related, and they because of that they grow closer, and they mistake it for like romantic feelings because they don't know anything else. They don't have any other context for it.
So what you're saying is every time you're interested in someone, get a DNA test, check you're not related in some small way.
Couldn't hurt.
Oh dear.
So I went up and down in this episode for a particular reason.
Yes.
The music, because it started, it did that that theme. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's good. And by the end of the episode, it's like, oh, for God's sake, I forgot how much they overused this. I was sick of it by the end of last season.
Joe's funny actually though is rewatching it is they do overuse it early on, but they kind of adapt it and change it a little bit, because there was like a more emotional version towards the end of the season. They introduced like almost like a ba 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 thing in the 50s section, and that kind of stuck around. They definitely shook it up a lot more as the
I
season
remember
went on.
By the end of like episode even like 1 or 2, I was already getting sick of that.
Honestly, I think you go through a phase where you get sick of it, and then you
come back around on it.
You come back around, and then you're in Stockholm syndrome, and you're just like, yeah, just give it to me, just give me that.
Yeah. See, because I'd forgotten how much they used it. So they played it. I was like, oh yeah, this theme, that's good. And then by the end of the episode, I'm like, stop playing the same theme, please. Oh, it's gonna be a long season.
Yes. Well, not as long as last
Well,
season because it's 8 episodes and not 10. Something that if I did know that before, I'd forgotten about it because it was a shock when I checked the
yeah,
episode listings.
and we should note that this has already been renewed for season 3, which will be the final season. It's a finite story, as kind of to be expected with the way it's been playing. It feels like it had an end game.
It kind of has
But
to be. Imagine trying to do this as you're making up as you're going along. It would be a mess.
yeah, exactly. It always feels like it's got a. You've got your plan before you start, at least to some extent. Maybe not the every intricacy, but yeah, the broad outlines. So yeah, we know we're getting 3 seasons, and that'll be it. But I'm excited for that because it'll have a nice tight ending, and it won't overstay.
Yeah. So that is episode 1. I'm sure we've missed some stuff. So by all means.
Yeah, I think last season we ended up going through it family by family.
Well, I more or less did that as I was talking, like to check out that missed characters.
I think that's what we kind of went through a checklist last season. Didn't
No,
we?
but what I mean is, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the viewers. If we've missed anything, little details you think that are relevant, let us know in the comments. Yeah, do that. But that is us. That has been episode 1 of Dark. So let us know what you think in the comments of the episode. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and keep all the reviews coming. You can look for the next review day after tomorrow, hopefully. We'll try and keep that schedule as consistent as we can. But we'll get through over the next couple of weeks, basically. So look forward to that. As for anything else, yeah, check out other stuff we've got. If this is your first time on the channel, we do a lot of Netflix shows, we do a lot of other shows as well. Right now we're working through Too Old to Die Young from Amazon, the Nicholas Winding Refn show, we're working through Handmaid's Tale Season 3, working through Big Little Lies Season 2, so all these things are going on right now. If you're on the audio feed for the Netflix shows, hopefully you're enjoying that. You can also get a lot of the other shows that we do that aren't Netflix on the Almost Cancelled TV Reviews audio feed, which features the Amazon and the HBO and the other services and networks. Yeah. So thank you very much. That is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?